Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Afghanistan Project podcast. I'm your host, Beth Bailey, and today it's just me. I had invited the author of a recent piece in the national interest, Cheryl Bernard, to join me in order to talk about her article, which has inflamed many in this community and many Afghans because it suggests that those who have expiring temporary protected status should not fear being sent back to Afghanistan under the Taliban. Cheryl never responded to my emails. And I told her in my emails that I would have her discussing these issues with Jason Hauk, the president of the board of Global Friends of Afghanistan, who has been working on and in Afghanistan since 2002. And just is an incredible advocate for Afghans. In fact, he created that organization with the hope of having it let Afghans lead and let Afghans in the diaspora work out how to create a future for their country. So because Cheryl didn't respond and because I couldn't have those two debate, I'm here today. Because I came to a realization this morning that seemed dead simple, but so important. What does it mean to have a Westerner talk about her particular view on Afghanistan that she achieved as a Western woman, right? Who has obviously shown things through a lens that the Taliban want influential Western people to see the country through. I should add that Cheryl Bernard is married to Zalmay Khalilzad, the architect of the Doha deal. And if you've watched this podcast, you know how every person who's brought it up feels about that deal. Regardless, it doesn't really matter for Cheryl to debate with me, to debate with Jason about these issues of how safe the country is for women when we have available to us the words of the people who are making it unsafe for women. So I have in my hands a list of the decrees that the Taliban have passed since coming to power in August of 2021. And I'm going to read them to you. And I did not compile this list. This list was compiled by the U.S. Institute for Peace. And I am incredibly grateful to them for doing this because I had been looking for something like this for some time. And I have it printed out for a totally separate reason. But I realized just how perfect it is in this situation to describe exactly what is going on inside of Afghanistan, not from the point of view of any Westerners. So, without further ado, let's read this list. It's long. I don't apologize. I hope that it becomes a resource for people. And if I can get the link, because I printed this out, if I can find the link again, I will link to it in the show notes. These are the decrees that impacted schools. On August 30th, 2021, they declared a ban on coeducation and prohibited men from teaching girls. Just a couple weeks later, on September 12th, 2021, they banned girls from secondary education. On January 3rd, 2022, they closed a blind girls' schools in Nangarhar and Kunar. March 17th, 2022, announced that the reopening of girls' schools would commence in March 2022. On March 24th, 2022, just after everyone got so excited to see girls returning to school, they announced that schools for girls in grades 7 and up would remain closed. June 1st, 2022, they ordered female students in Ghazni in grades 4 to 6 to cover their faces while commuting to school or face expulsion. September 11th, 2022, closed secondary and high schools for girls that had briefly opened in Paktia province. October 6th, 2022, expelled hundreds of pubescent female students in Kandahar based on verbal instruction of Taliban's education authorities. December 22nd, 2022, banned girls beyond grade 6 from attending private courses. This is a good time to note that Bernard says some private schools are open inside of Afghanistan. I'd like to point out that particular Ban. June 8th, 2023. Banned foreign NGOs from providing educational programs, including community-based education. According to UNICEF, it will impact 500,000 students, specifically 300,000 girls. October 22nd, 2023. The Kandahar Religious Police conveyed through a letter to elementary schools and women's madrasas that moving forward, the only accepted form of hijab is the burqa. February 22nd, 2024. The Taliban in Kandahar have issued directives instructing school principals to prohibit girls aged 10 and above from attending classes below the 6th grade. In the same directive, the Taliban have mandated those girls in grades 4 to 6 must wear face coverings during their journey to school. March 31st, 2024. Taliban closed several female educational centers in Kabul for registering female students beyond the 6th grade. April of 2024. The Taliban's Education Department of Kabul province issued a commitment letter to owners of private schools outlining a series of 10 points to which the owners/administrators are pledging adherence. One of these points declares, I confirm my agreement to adhere to the decision to suspend schooling for female students from grades 7 to 12. June 4th, 2024. The Department of Education in Bamiyan issued a letter signed by Qari Enayatollah Sahar stating that in all schools where students follow both Hanafi and Jafari jurisprudence, but only use textbooks based on one of these jurisprudences, the textbooks will be replaced with books from both Hanafi and Jafari traditions. November 13th of 2024. In Uruzgan, the Taliban ordered the closing of community-based education centers run by international NGOs. November 27th, 2024. The Taliban, by the order of the head of the Provincial Education Department of Bamiyan, shut down accelerated learning classes funded by UNICEF, which were designed to support girls out of school below the 6th grade. These are the rulings on universities. September 29th, 2021. Women were banned from attending and teaching at Kabul University. April 24th, 2022. Ordered universities to enforce gender-segregated classrooms. August 16th, 2022. Made attending religious classes mandatory in universities, adding 5 new religious subjects to the existing 8. August 29th, 2022. Ordered female university students to cover their faces in classrooms. April 29th, 2022. Announced that universities were to offer lessons 3 days of the week for female students and 3 days for male students to ensure segregation of gender. October 7th, 2022. Blocked women from choosing agriculture, mining, civil engineering, veterinary medicine, and journalism as their university major. Taliban said these subjects were too difficult for women. December 20th, 2022. Banned female students from public and private universities until further notice. December 24th, 2022. Ministry of Higher Education issued a letter clarifying that only higher education for girls is suspended and madrasa education is not. January 21st, 2023. The Ministry of Higher Education, in a letter to institutions of higher education, ordered the exclusion of females from university entry exams. January 25th, 2023. Ministry of Higher Education, in a letter to Kabul University, instructed female lecturers to sign their timesheets on the last Thursday of the month in a designated location in the north entrance of the campus. March 6th, 2023. Instructed institutes of higher education to only admit male students in the forthcoming academic year, which started on March 22nd. March 12th, 2023. Banned issuing transcripts and certificates for female university graduates. December 5th, 2023. By the verbal order of Hibatullah, the Taliban's religious police suspended delivery of nursing and midwifery education to female students in Kandahar. February 13th, 2024. The Ministry of Public Health issued a directive to medical institutes of higher education, instructing those that provided education to girls during the winter to cancel the semester. They are to reteach the same semester at the beginning of the new academic year, as teaching during the winter is only permitted to conduct short-term capacity enhancement courses. February 19th, 2024. The Ministry of Public Health issued a letter to its provincial departments in 11 provinces, introducing/authorizing a 4-member delegation from the Norwegian Church Aid including a female doctor accompanied by her mahram, to conduct entry exams, distribute materials, and register female students for studying nursing and midwifery. July 23, 2024. The Taliban have posted notices in medical colleges mandating that female students wear the chador namaz, full body cover, as a condition for entry. Note, the same type of hijab has been banned in Daikundi province. December 2nd. The Taliban's Ministry of Public Health held a meeting with private university administrators to announce that effective immediately, female students were barred from studying medicine. Later that week, the minister instructed universities to administer the final exams within 10 days, after which the ban on female students would be fully enforced. Note, despite the December 2022 ban on female enrollment in universities, these medical colleges had remained open until now. December 11, 2024. In a letter to universities, the Taliban Ministry of Higher Education announced the termination of all female administrative staff and offered them the option to be replaced by male members of their families. Justice, November 23, 2021, stormed the Afghan Independent Bar Association and ordered the suspension of their activities. May 16, 2022, dissolved the Afghan Independent Human Rights Commission. August 23, 2022, established a female moral police department. March 4, 2023, invalidated thousands of divorce cases that were decided during the Afghan Republic. March 25, 2023, the Emir issued a verbal decree retasking the Attorney General's office as the General Directorate for monitoring and follow-up of decrees and directives. March 30, 2023, Taliban's Emir issued an order to courts to re-examine and invalidate legal cases that had been settled by the Republic courts that did not comply with Sharia. July 17, 2023, Taliban abolished the Attorney General's office. The new institution established to replace AGO is called Directorate of Supervision and Prosecution of Decrees and Orders, which no longer investigates or prosecutes cases directly. That function is taken over by the court and police. March 24, 2024. The Taliban leaders stated that the public stoning of women shall be enforced, and the Taliban will not bend to the pressure of the West. These are decrees involving employment in NGOs and UN. February 2022. Ordered NGOs to replace board members and those in leadership positions with Afghans living inside Afghanistan. March 24, 2022. By the verbal order of Hibatullah, women were forbidden from working in offices. The order states women must not leave their home. December 24, 2022. Banned female staff working for international NGOs. April 4, 2023. Prevented female Afghan staff of the UN from reporting to work. Ordered NGOs to replace board members and those in leadership positions with Afghans living inside Afghanistan. June 8, 2023. Banned foreign NGOs from providing educational programs, including community-based education. July 6, 2023. Taliban's Ministry of Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice announced the ban on beauty salons, all run by women for women, because services provided by the salons were forbidden by Islam. Owners of beauty salons were given 1 month notice to wind down their businesses. September 2023. In Uruzgan, the governor reiterated through an audio recorded message that was widely disseminated that women are not allowed to work, even remotely, with NGOs. October 20th, 2023. The Taliban's Ministry of Economy has instructed NGOs in Kabul that women are not permitted to hold the position of director within an NGO. November 11th, 2023. The Taliban's Ministry of Public Health, in a letter, informed the Ministry of Economy that programs related to public awareness, women's health centers, social behavior, and mental health offered outside of government-run health centers by NGOs are prohibited. December 19th, 2023. The Taliban's Department of Economy in Helmand Province issued a directive to NGOs stipulating that new local employees must obtain an approval letter from the General Directorate of Intelligence before being offered employment. NGOs are asked to submit the names of existing employees for background checks and approvals. December 30th, 2023. The Taliban's Ministry of Economy issued a letter calling on local and international organizations to refrain from implementing projects focused on peace, conflict resolution, advocacy, and public awareness, as they are not considered a need. August 15th, 2024. The Taliban's Department of Economy instructed NGOs to remove the word woman from their organizational names. These are decrees involving employment in government institutions and businesses. September 17th, 2021. Replaced the Ministry of Women's Affairs with the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice. And they're doing such a great job at that. September 20th, 2021. Ordered professional and working women to stay home until further notice. March 13th, 2022. Ordered enforcement of segregation of women's and men's offices. By verbal instruction of Hibatullah, women must not be employed in offices and must not leave home. July 18th, 2022. Directed women employees of the Ministry of Finance to send a male relative to take their jobs if they want to be paid their salaries. August 10th, 2022. Removed female flight attendants from their jobs. September 8th, 2022. Made attending daily religious classes offered by the Ministry of Vice and Virtue agents mandatory in all government offices. To keep their jobs, they must pass a test. September 17th, 2022. Prohibited the hiring of former government employees that had worked for the Ministry of Hajj and Religious Affairs, the Supreme Court, and the Ministry of Education, and ordered their termination. December 27th, 2022. Banned women-run bakeries in Kabul. February 1st, 2023. Instructed female staff of hospitals in Kabul to wear black hijab and mask at all times. February 22nd, 2023. Closed 4 medical centers run by female doctors in Ghazni because male patients were treated by female doctors. March 13th, 2023. Small Businesses Council in Parwan issued a circular to its members that operate beauty salons and instructed them to require their clients to take an ablution before a service is initiated. March 17th, 2024. The Taliban banned women in 6 districts of Nangarhar from working at carpet weaving factories. March 23rd, 2024. The Taliban banned street saleswomen in a market in Jalalabad city in Nangarhar. Let's also note here that one of the key tenets of Bernard's argument is that she saw women working in the streets that she walked through, but apparently not in Jalalabad city. April 7th, 2024. The Economic Affairs Commission issued a directive quoting the Emir to remove and replace the elected leadership of the Chambers of Commerce, the Association of Money Changers, Afghanistan Chamber of Commerce with good and righteous individuals, and I'm certain that they are. June 3rd, 2024. A circular signed by Sheikh Al-Hadis Nurul Haq Anwar, addressed to the Environmental Protection Directorate, states that all female employees recruited during the Republic should receive a uniform salary of 5,000 Afghani, $71. June 10th, 2024. A circular signed by Qari Abdul Baset Haqqani, Director of Education for Kabul Province, states that based on orders from the responsible authorities, the salary of female employees should be 5,000 Afghani. Consequently, any female employees who receive a full salary earlier in the month of Jauza, May and June, because of Eid, will have the extra amount deducted from their salary in the following month, Saratan, June/July. July 2nd, 2024. A circular signed by Abdul Qadir Ahmad, Acting Deputy Minister of Finance, states that all female civil servants in both budgetary and off-budget positions will receive 5,000 Afghani as per the directive of Hibatullah. July 8th, 2024. The Ministry of Finance issued a circular signed by Mullah Muhammad Nasser Akund, to all ministries, offices, and directorates, stating that female employees who are currently working but do not report regularly like male employees or do not perform duties according to their job description will have their salaries reduced to 5,000 Afghani from 25/11/1445 onwards. However, female employees who consistently report to work and fulfill their job duties as described are exempted from this rule. Offices that have paid salaries above or below 5,000 Afghani must admit these salaries in the upcoming months. November 27th. By the verbal instruction of the Virtue and Vice authorities, 5 female-run cafes were closed in Herat city. Let's also state that at the end of her article, Bernard talks about how she'd like to recommend that Kristi Noem go to Afghanistan and go to a restaurant that she went to that was staffed by women, and that they use, tablets for ordering. Not in Herat, and she didn't name the restaurant. Why didn't you name the restaurant, Cheryl? I wouldn't have named the restaurant. I wouldn't want those women to be targeted. December 4th, the Ministry of Economy issued a letter referencing letter number 4293 of 1444/5/30, December 24th of 2022, regarding the suspension of women's employment in non-Emirati local and international organizations. The directive instructs non-Emirati organizations to seriously consider suspending women's employment and take the necessary actions. Violators will face the risk of having their licenses revoked. December 11th, 2024, the Taliban Emir issued an 8-article decree concerning pension benefits, which includes the establishment of a special pension rights court. The decree states that retirees from all public agencies may submit applications to request pensions from the court. The court will review these applications and evaluate the justification for granting the pension. These are on women in media. November 22nd, 2021, banned women from television dramas. March 18th, 2022, banned foreign TV series. May 19th, 2022, ordered female TV presenters on air to cover their faces. September 26th, 2022, ordered media outlets to ensure female TV guests cover face. October 28th, 2022, removed women's seat from the Commission of Media Violations. May 11th, 2023, Taliban officials verbally directed media outlets not to produce content about women's hygiene issues. June 17th, 2023, banned women from participating in radio and TV shows where the presenters are men. September 2023, in Helmand, the Department of Information and Culture, through mullahs and mosques, have informed media outlets not to invite women to their programs without first obtaining permission from the department. The department has also warned women against using Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and other media tools. The message was delivered through mosques on behalf of the governor and the department. October 14th, 2023, the Taliban religious police instructed media outlets in Kunduz province to submit drafts of their content for review and approval prior to publication. February 25th, 2024, the Taliban police chief in Khost, Abdul Rashid Omari, banned women from contacting local radio and TV channels, citing the potential for spreading immorality. February 28th, 2024, the Taliban spokesperson for the Ministry of the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, Abdul Ghaffar Farooq, announced that women appearing on television must wear black hijab and with their faces covered, only leaving their eyes visible. April 2024, the Taliban in Helmand verbally instructed media outlets to refrain from airing women's voices. April 2024, media outlets were verbally instructed to ban women from co-hosting shows with male journalists and refrain from reporting on women's rights and violence against women. August 24th, 2024, Taliban's Department of Information and Culture issued a warning to radio stations in Khost and Paktia prohibiting the broadcast of educational programs for students beyond the 6th grade. October 1st, 2024, the Taliban in Takhar province banned journalists from taking photographs and filming. This restriction aligns with Article 17th of the Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice law, which prohibits the broadcast of any living beings. These are bans on women outside the home. August 25, 2021, ordered women to stay indoors at home because soldiers are not trained to respect women. You've got that right. September 8th, 2021, banned protests and slogans that don't have prior approval from the Taliban. December 26, 2021, banned women from traveling on long-distance road trips of more than 45 miles or 72 kilometers without a mahram, which is a male guardian that must be a member of the family. December 29th, 2021, ordered the closing of public baths for women in bulk. January 7th, 2022, ordered coffee shop owners in Herat not to serve women if they are not accompanied by a mahram. March 2nd, 2022, banned women from entering health centers without a mahram. May 5th, 2022, stopped issuing driver's licenses to women. May 7th, 2022, issued order that women are not allowed to use public transport if they are without a mahram. May 7th, 2022, issued recommendation and implementation plan regarding proper hijab practices, stating the best hijab is for women to wear a burqa or stay home. November 6th, 2022, ordered closing of public baths for women in Baghis province. February 1st, 2023, verbally instructed female government medical staff to be accompanied by a mahram while going to their offices in Kandahar. March 15th, 2023, ordered restaurants in Takhar not to serve women without a mahram. April 5th, 2023, the Taliban's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice issued an edict banning women from going to restaurants in Herat. Previously, they had issued an edict on May 12, 2022, instructing restaurant owners to segregate male and female diners. May 4th, 2023. In a recorded voice message, the head of the Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice in Kandahar, Malawi Abdulhai Omar, verbally ordered all the provincial departments to ban girls and women from going to health centers and cemeteries. In his message, Malawi Omar claims that women and girls wear makeup when they go to these places and pretend they are ill. Anyone whose daughter or sister is like this, if she has a brother, arrest her brother. If she has a father, punish her father and punish him for not correcting her daughter. May 5th, 2023. Banned young and unmarried women from going to health centers and shrines in Kandahar province. January 2024. In Farah province, the governor has issued a verbal order making wearing of black color hijab, face mask, and gloves mandatory. January 2024. In Logar province, the religious police made announcements through loudspeakers in mosques and in public stating that women and girls should refrain from wearing white pants and shoes when going out, and that those ignoring the order have no right to complain about the consequence. January 2024. In Paktia, the Vice and Virtue authorities announced through mosques that women are prohibited from wearing black Arabic hijabs as they reveal the eyes. Instead, women are mandated to exclusively wear burqa. February 14th, 2024. Mullah Abdul Haq Wasik, head of the Taliban's General Directorate of Intelligence, has directed its units to stop organizations from taking inappropriate photos, mixed male and female, during aid distribution and during meetings, particularly of women. Violators are instructed to be reported to the Directorate for appropriate action. May 26, 2024. The Taliban required couples in Herat to prevent their marriage certificate to allow them to eat together in restaurants. July 3, 2024. The religious police in Daikundi issued an announcement mandating that women must comply with the hijab requirement within 5 days. The specified hijab style must be Arabic. After that deadline, violators will face punishment and imprisonment, with responsibility falling on both the individual and her family. July 5th, 2024. The religious police in Daikundi issued an announcement mandating that women must comply with the hijab requirement within 5 days. The specified hijab style must be Arabic. After the deadline, violators will face punishment and imprisonment, with responsibility falling on both the individual and her family. July 17th, 2024. The Vice and Virtue authorities in Faryab have reissued a ban prohibiting women from visiting 3 parks in Gurzawan district. The ban has been confirmed through an official letter and corroborated by contacts on the ground. July 31st, 2024. The Taliban issued a new edict under their Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice law, which was published in the Ministry of Justice Gazette, listing previously imposed restrictions as well as additional ones, including women's voice in public and prohibiting friendship with non-Muslims. September 14th, 2024. The Taliban's virtue and vice enforcers have instructed imams in select mosques across Kandahar to urge their communities to prohibit women from using smartphones. October 14th, 2024. In Badakhshan, the Taliban issued a policy banning women from visiting the provincial hospital in the afternoons and men in the mornings for non-emergency reasons, intensifying gender segregation efforts. October 28th, the religious police in Badakhshan province issued verbal instruction that adult women outside their homes must wear Arabic-style hijab that also covers their hands. November 25th, the religious police in Daikundi issued an order instructing women to cover their faces in public to prevent temptation. December 8th, 2024. In Takar, the head of the Department for Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, Malawi Habibullah Hanafi, in a meeting, instructed shopkeepers to refrain from speaking to women during transactions. December 21st, 2024. The Vice and Virtue Directorate in Jalalabad City of Nangarhar Province issued a verbal order prohibiting women from using smartphones in public. December 25th, 2024. Vice and Virtue inspectors in suburban Kabul have instructed public transport drivers to avoid carrying mixed-gender passengers. According to this directive, men and women are prohibited from traveling together in the same vehicle. These are bans on visiting parks and sightseeing. Don't worry. We're nearing the end. April 6th, 2022. Dictated different days for men and women to visit parks. August 25th, 2022. Issued an order banning women from going to parks where park authorities cannot ensure segregation between men and women. November 10th, 2022. Banned women and girls from parks and gyms. January 11th, 2023. Taliban's Herat Department of Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice issued a letter banning women from visiting historical places. August 26, 2023. Taliban Minister of Vice and Virtue, during his visit to Bamiyan, announced that women are henceforth not allowed to enter Band-e-Amir National Park. September 19th. The Vice and Virtue authorities in Balkh reissued an order prohibiting women from entering parks. Sports. September 8th, 2021, banned women from playing sports. November 10th, 2022, banned women and girls from parks and gyms. February 1st, 2023, Taliban closed a karate club in Farah province. It operated in spite of the earlier ban on female sports clubs. Traveling outside the country. March 27th, 2022, banned women from traveling abroad without a mahram and without a legitimate reason. January 16th, 2023, instructed travel agencies not to sell tickets to women without a mahram. Corporal punishment. November 14th, 2022, reinstated hudud and qisas punishments in cases such as robbery, kidnapping, and sedition. Now, I want to thank everyone who put that together. Again, I read that basically verbatim. So I really appreciate you putting it out there and making it so easy for me to see all of those things and to share them all with you. I would love to hear your comments on this, everyone who's listening. And I would still like to have Cheryl on. Cheryl, if you watch this, I want to talk to you. And so do many, many people who have written full-throated rebuttals of your article in the National Interest. It's really been horrifying because almost 1 in 10 of those I've written an article about, and I've talked to an Afghan who was impacted by it specifically. I have written about so many of these bans. They have hurt so many people and continue to do so. And I just find it really devastating to hear anyone saying that things are good. There was recently, there have been so many people traveling to Afghanistan as adventurers, trying to make it look great. And recently there was a woman from somewhere in South America. I want to say maybe she's Brazilian. Beautiful, a very strong woman, super athletic. And she made sure when she traveled to show that I'm allowed to do this as a Western woman, but Afghan women are not. There are two sets of rules. There's a set of rules for Cheryl Bernard and the likes of her, and there's a set of rules for Afghan women, and they are not the same. I'll never forget watching Afghanistan Undercover in the summer of 2022 with Ramita Navai and getting to talk to Ramita after that documentary by Frontline aired. And she told me stories that weren't in the documentary of the way that she was treated by Taliban members at checkpoints because she could pass for being Afghan. And they were not kind to her. And to watch, this is shown in the documentary, but to watch the Taliban members that she spoke with being so dismissive of her, telling her to hide her hair behind her hijab before they would talk to her, not looking her in the eyes. A renowned correspondent, and they could not treat her like a human. She shows the women in prison without any sentence, any idea of what justice might be delivered to them. I keep bringing up this point, but The Guardian, seeing the video of the woman being raped in Taliban prison by multiple men, and that video was used for leverage, they thought, but she didn't care, and she showed it to The Guardian so that the world knew what was happening in Taliban prisons. Women are apparently being raped, impregnated, forced to have abortions, and when they get to the point that they're too ill, they are being killed. That's what's happening in Taliban's Afghanistan, and I want to hear somebody tell me they think it's okay. Because I have many words for anyone who thinks that they can say that. All of this has nothing, I haven't said a thing about our allies and the reprisal campaign. We've talked about that on this podcast many times. I've written about it many times. It continues to happen. I continue to see the stories. The point is, I'm not there. I'm not on the ground. Cheryl was on the ground, but I believe she got a sanitized version of what's happening in that country. The Taliban tell us what they're doing. And they don't tell us all of it. So, if you can listen to those directives and tell me that things are great for women in Afghanistan and that a single woman heading back to that country with multiple children because her husband was killed during the war, that she's going to do great in Afghanistan and she should be excited about that return. I don't know how you could say that. Anyway, thank you all for listening. This was really important to do. And I want to tell you that in the coming weeks, it's a lot of people other than me talking. I have Ben coming on Monday, the 2nd, talking about Christian Afghans and what they face now that they're facing the revocation of their parole after coming in through the southern border. I have Jason Houck coming on the week after that, and it's always so enlightening to talk to Jason. And there's more coming after that, so stay tuned. Thanks for bearing with me, Tasha Kaur, and can't wait to see you again.